Hello everyone, I am Sierra Shockey and I will be discussing the disease detective, also known as an epidemiologist. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so what exactly is an epidemiologist or disease detective? Let's take a look into what the epidemiologist does. An epidemiologist works in the public health system. They work on issues and solutions for the whole community, whether that community is local, city, state, nation, or even global. They specifically research the causes and patterns of diseases in humans. This research is not limited to infectious diseases like many initially think. It includes chronic diseases as well. It also encompasses environmental and occupational disease in nature, as well as oral and mental health. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics states they seek to reduce the risk and occurrence of negative health outcomes through research, community education, and health policy. The work life of the epidemiologist is varied depending on the employer. Locations they can work include hospitals, health departments / the CDC, and universities or research institutes. They can spend their days in a lab, at a desk, or in the field, and some days there will be multiple locations they work at. The hours are typically regular, but can vary depending on the situation, such as a public health emergency, or maybe their work requires them to research at particular times. So now that you know what they do, let's see how you can become one. We will break down the path an epidemiologist will take. Let's begin by looking at the education needed. First, you'll need to attend college and find a degree that you like, but that will have an emphasis in science. You'll need this as an epidemiologist because they work heavy in the science field. Once you have your bachelor's, you can take two paths: go to medical school or go through public health graduate school. Either way, graduate school is a must. If you choose medical school, you'll go through your 4 years of education and practicum and come out with a medical doctorate. Next, you'll have 2 years of internship, and then you'll need to choose a residency for infectious diseases to specialize in epidemiology. If you choose not to go through medical school, you'll need to find a college that offers a master's in public health with an emphasis on epidemiology. This is the entry-level educational requirement. However, many who choose this route also decide to go on and get their PhD in epidemiology. Education isn't the only important part of being a professional. So are certifications and organizations. For an epidemiologist, the certification in infection control given by the Certification Board of Infection Control and Epidemiology is important. This certification is given once you pass an exam to prove you have the required knowledge and can apply the principles of infection control, which is important for the epidemiologist. An important organization for this position would be the American College of Epidemiology. This is one of several that an epidemiologist can join, but is one of the most universal. Skills are also an important thing to consider when becoming an epidemiologist. In epidemiology, as you look at the greater population and the distribution of disease among them, you need to be able to handle data and be able to decipher it. You also should be decent at statistics, because when evaluating the spread of disease or the prominence of them, you need to provide statistics. Critical thinking is highly important for this job. You have to be able to see the data, organize it, but also apply it. If you can't apply the data, then it's just a bunch of numbers. Understanding the medical and biological processes are helpful. When studying diseases, you need to be able to distinguish from one disease to the next. And so understanding the medical process and how the disease will affect the human body are important. You also need to understand how the disease affects the biology of the human body so that you can find ways to cure or counteract them. Lastly, details are important in this field. As illustrated before, you will be handling a vast amount of numbers and data, so you need to be detail-oriented when dealing with them. So why would someone want this job? What is the good and bad of being an epidemiologist? Well, let's start with the bad. The first con of being an epidemiologist is the long or irregular working hours, as we already discussed. Another drawback for some is that it requires an extensive amount of knowledge and skill. Working as an epidemiologist, you also increase your risk of contracting diseases. Being so you will be studying them, you increase your exposure and thereby increase your likelihood of contracting it. Lastly, the job has high pressure and stress. There are lives on the line, and the epidemiologist may be the only one able to help. This can be a very daunting task. Okay, hopefully I haven't scared you away from it just yet. Let's talk about the pros of this job. Being an epidemiologist, you can find a great amount of self-satisfaction in your job. This is the flip side of the high pressure. When you're able to figure out the disease and help a vast amount of people, you save their lives. This is highly rewarding. Along those lines, you get to help others. The position also pays well, which is an incentive for many. And for some, always learning new things can be a pro. Lastly, you get to solve puzzles all day, and you get the awesome title of disease detective. All right, let's recap. Being an epidemiologist means you get to search for the cause and distribution of diseases and act as a disease detective. You can work several types of specialties for these diseases. Your location is varied based on who you work for, and you work the typical hours, but you may need to work more hours or at odd times. A master's is the entry-level degree. However, many have a doctorate, either in medicine or epidemiology. The important things to know for being an epidemiologist is that organizations and certifications are important. Consider your skills because you'll need to be good in medicine and statistics. It is a very stressful, high-pressure job, and there's an increased chance of contracting the diseases you study. However, you can make good money and find self-satisfaction in your work by helping others. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you learned a little bit about epidemiology and why this job is nicknamed the disease detective. Have a wonderful day.